This panel on my left wrist lets me enable and disable game objects by finger touch, and I like it. I think it's pretty neat. The reason I am able to do this is because of RetroGeo. They created a method of animating on particle death, and published that method on VRC mods. Thanks Retro, very cool. You too can be cool by going to my website, lindesu.ga, where you will find a link to my Patreon. There is also a link to my GitHub, where you can find a package for the finger touch panel thing I was showing off earlier. Go to Lin Unity Packages, State Inventory, download, and import the package into Unity. You should install the State Inventory prefab at the root of your avatar. Then, open it up and survey the contents of the prefab. The first thing we will set up is the menu. Enter Play Mode, select the menu, and check Is Kinematic so that the menu will be able to move. Then, select the State Inventory object and disable its animator. Disable the animator on the Safety Lock object, and enable the animator on the Output object. This animator activity will reveal the menu buttons. Position and rotate the menu object so it appears where you need it. In my case that is the left wrist. Notice that my editor transform settings here at the top left are center and local. Once you are done finding the correct position and rotation, go into the inspector to copy the transform component values from the menu object. Once you have copied these values, leave play mode and repaste those values on the same menu object. Re-enter play mode and open up the menu hierarchy. Go down into any of the button state objects and find the select state object. Enable the parent output object so the select state child object is visible. We want to rescale and reposition this object so the collider is closer to the size of the avatar. It needs to encapsulate you with a little bit of room to spare. I do not go below a scale value of 2. I position the object so that I am in the center. Once you are done, copy the transform values from the select state object and exit play mode. You can then go to the top of the hierarchy, where the search bar is, and search for select_state. This will find all select state objects. Highlight all of the select state objects at once, and paste the transform values you copied earlier. This will apply the values to every select state object. The final step for the menu is to connect the rigid body that the fixed joint component expects. Since my menu is on my left wrist, I will be using a left wrist rigid body. Go into the armature and select the bone your menu will track. Create an empty game object as a child of the bone. Add a rigid body component to this object. Uncheck gravity. Check Is Kinematic. I named this object left wrist rigid body. Then, select the menu object, and within the fixed joint component, put the object you created as the reference for the connected body. Next, to set up the pointer, you merely need to position the pointer object at the tip of your finger and connect a rigid body for the pointer fixed joint. The setup of this rigid body is the same as with the menu and the left wrist, except with the pointer and the end of your index finger. With that business out of the way, I can explain how to use these state objects here. Inside of each state object is a set object. Set is the object being animated on or off by a button press, and it is where you would put your items. For the sake of example, I will create some fresh cube-based gear. I am creating a cube under the set object, and I am scaling and positioning it to be like a hat. Since a hat should track my head, I'm going to move my entire state object so that it's a child of my head, in my armature, and this will work. But wait. I also want a cube backpack to complete my style, and I want it to enable with the same button press that enables my cube hat. However, a hat and a backpack should not be a child of the same bone. To solve this type of problem, you may duplicate the original state objects, and those duplicates will work the same. Now I am able to create my backpack and place it under the right bone. To test the state objects, enter play mode and disable the animator on state inventory and safety lock. Enable the output animator. Go into the menu hierarchy and find the stop action particle which corresponds to the state you want to test. Select the stop action particle, and on the right within the inspector, hit the top checkbox to disable the object. It should get forced back on immediately, and trigger the corresponding set objects to enable. Since the state objects in my example are nested in the armature, they track correctly. The last thing you have to do is install the provided gesture overrides. To explain what those are doing, the inventory will be unhidden when you use handopen and fingerpoint together. The inventory will remain open until you release handopen. You can release fingerpoint as many times as you like. Thank you. Goodbye.